Hi, everyone. Happy July. I wanted to come on and give you some updates and give you some tips for what we have upcoming the rest of this summer term. So I wanted to start off and reiterate what I have been mentioning in the iCollege comments. I've been so impressed with all of your engagement and your hard work so far this summer. I know I keep on saying this, but it's such an accelerated term. You're reading 2, sometimes more chapters a week and doing at least 2 perusals a week. But I've been very impressed with all of your responses on the midterm, your annotations on perusal, and also your ideas for your research proposal check-in. So I wanted to talk briefly about the midterm, give you a little recap of our schedule, what we've completed, and what we have upcoming. Want to spend some time talking about the upcoming article critique assignment so you feel prepared for that. And then talk about the final research proposal paper that we will turn in at the end of the semester. And then I will also show you, if you want to stay on, how to use the Georgia State Library to find those peer-reviewed empirical articles. So the midterm. So I've graded your midterms, so you should go to iCollege to view the feedback. But again, I was very impressed with all of your descriptions and your demonstration of what you've learned thus far. So you should feel very proud of that. Keep on doing what you're doing, reading, watching the lectures, engaging, and challenging yourself with the research, with the practice questions there. So great work on the midterm. So once you look at your feedback, if I have a comment, you will see that there. So for the course schedule, so here is where we are so far. So when I'm recording this video, you have completed up through perusal 8. I haven't graded that one yet. So including perusal 7, if I've already graded your research proposal check-in, I've graded some of them, but not all. There is 45 points possible, so you can check your grades and see how you are doing there. So we still have 4 perusals coming up. We have perusal 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then you have your optional review for the final. So each of those are worth 3 points. So there are 12 points available there. However, remember with perusal, I am taking your 12 highest perusal scores. So if you're seeing dropped when you look at your grades for your upcoming perusals, that's why, because I'm dropping your 3 lowest scores. So we have those opportunities coming up to earn 12 points if you get full credit on those. The article critique assignment is 14 points, so that is significant. So I'm going to be talking about that. The research proposal and presentation is 16 points. So I will also be going over that. And then you have the final exam, which will be the exact same format as the midterm, which is another 10 points. So this is just so you can keep track of what we have and where you are with your grades. So as far as the upcoming perusals, we have, so you are going to be working on quantitative analysis. Then we are going to be moving into qualitative design, mixed methods design, and then number 12 is, oh, I guess we have 13, I'm sorry. 12 is qualitative and mixed methods analysis. So these are all available to you now. So you might need to go ahead if you wanted to look at something for your research proposal or your article critique. And then we also have this writing the research report that will help you with your research proposal assignment. Okay, so that is what we have coming up here, just so you can know. And like I said, it's all available if you want to go check something out, and then you can also go back. You can access these every time. If you're even in an assignment, like if you're in this view here, you can go to assignments and you can navigate through and see all of the other perusals. So that is where we are. Again, please check your grade. I'm going to email you if you have any questions about that. And if you're seeing dropped for the perusals, that's because I'm taking the 12 highest scores. So let's talk about your article critique assignment. That is a major assignment that is coming up. It is due July 14th. So when you log into Perusal, you will see 2 things. you will see the sample article critique, and then you will see the one that I assigned to you. So I'm going to go over there in a moment, but I wanted to talk to you about how I will be scoring it. So it's 14 points. This is an individualized assignment. So even though it's in perusal, you are only going to be able to see your annotations. And so for this one, I'm expecting at least 10 detailed annotations across the article. Now, these annotations are for you to analyze and critique and discuss the research design that they used. And so all the content, everything that we have gone over this summer, those are the methods that I want you to comment on. So these annotations should be anywhere 3 to 6 sentences about, or a paragraph about in that length. And they may incorporate items from the checklist. So if you recall in chapter 4, we talked about, when we read chapter 4, we learned about finding the literature and then also critiquing research. So in chapter 4, there are 3 tables like this. There is table 4.2, the checklist for critically evaluating a quantitative study. 4.3 is for a qualitative study, and 4.4 is for a mixed method study. So this is the checklist of what you're looking for in a high quality piece. So these are some questions that you can use to guide you when you are trying to critique the article. Now, as you can see here, there are 27 questions. You don't have to do all of those because you're leaving about 10 annotations. So this is also an example of what your annotation might look like. Make connections to the course content. So one of the first things that we read about was types of research: basic research, applied research, critical research, action research, evaluation research. And so this is an example that I wrote talking about this research is testing a hypothesis. It's an example of applied research because. So think about sampling, think about reliability, validity, think about data sources, think about data collection, data analysis. So all of the topics that we covered, I want you to look for those elements in the study that you read and create an annotation about it. So in perusal, I have given you an optional or a sample for you to look at. Now, this sample, you don't need to read the article. You don't need to leave annotations. This is just for you to see what I'm expecting. So when you click over here, you can see these are the annotations that I left. And you can, like I said, you have access to these, but you can read through when you get a chance to see the types of annotations I'm looking for. So you can see I wrote one about the research purpose, another one here about the research questions. You're not just summarizing it, you can summarize, but then also you are giving your impression of it, what you noticed, what they did well, purpose, the literature, commenting on the methods, their sampling techniques that they use, data collection. And so when you're reading your article, you might find that they use statistical tests or they used a method that we haven't covered. That's okay. Focus on commenting on the aspects that we have covered that you do have an understanding of. And you can even put that in the comment, like maybe they used this specific test for their statistical testing. So that's okay if it's something outside of the scope of what we covered. So you can focus in on the things we have, like ethics is a great example. And then here you can see at the end, I have the final evaluation, strengths and weaknesses. So this is for you just to see what I'm looking for. Now you will also have your article. This one, for instance, happens to be assigned to Darren. So when he opens his, he chose this article about sport involvement, so he can read the article here. And these are just the directions, again, about what to do. Read the article, leave 10 to 12 detailed annotations. And here is another list of ideas, things that you can leave your annotations about. So you do have a couple weeks to work on this. So I suggest that you start reading through your article, and then you can start placing in your annotations, talking about that. But I really hope that you enjoy the articles that you chose and you get a chance to read. I think that you will be pleasantly surprised at all of the research design components that you recognize, things that we've covered in this class, and hopefully it's a topic you're interested in. So I'm looking forward to reading your annotations and seeing what you thought about the article that you chose. So that is something coming up, and again, 14 points. So the next major assignment that we have is our research proposal paper. So you have already turned in your first check-in. Please be looking for feedback from me if you haven't already gotten it. And so we can go from there. So there is a template in iCollege that you can use. The template, you can make a copy and you'll download it, and then you can delete my description part and just write directly in there. It already has the headings and what you need to include. Some of you have already done that, but if you haven't, you consider doing that. So at this point, go ahead and read my feedback. Then you need to finalize your design sections. Make sure that when you do that, you talk about the variables, or if you're doing a qualitative study, the constructs that you are interested in learning about. You need to write out your data collection methods and your data analysis methods. Finish writing out your introduction and your summary of your literature. Now, after you have finished writing the paper, you are going to record a short, just 3 to 5 minute video presentation giving an overview of your proposal. You can use PowerPoint, you can use Canva, you can use whatever that you want to use. You don't need extensive slides because it's just a very short video presentation that you will turn in. This is an opportunity for you to get practice presenting your work and talking about your work. Okay, so I wanted to, just in case I forget, when you do the data analysis section, make sure that you discuss reliability and validity. So if you haven't downloaded the research proposal template yet, this is what it looks like. So you can see I put the headings, you can leave those, you can delete the highlighting. That's just for me to show you where to look. And then in brackets, I put what you need to include in that section and about how long it should be. And then oftentimes I put the chapters that you can look to find that, but make sure that you don't forget to, for data analysis, do your data analysis methods, and then also methods to ensure reliability and validity. Make sure you do that. So I wanted to just give some whole group feedback from your check-ins, things that could be helpful. For your literature review, make sure that you are using peer-reviewed empirical articles. It's okay if you have other references that are not, but you need at least 3 that are like this. So if you want to see how I search for those, you can stay on after this part and I will do a little tutorial and show you how to find those articles. You can use it for this class and then any other class that you're in at Georgia State. You can also, if you need help with formatting, APA formatting for your references or for your paper, you can see Perusal 13 and then Chapter 21 for tips about that. For your instruments and data sources, if you are thinking of using a survey or are doing an interview in your research proposal, make sure you include the questions that you plan to ask your participants. When you are writing about your participants, make sure that you include your sampling methods that you plan to use for that or proposing to use for that. Your variables. So in the research design, one thing on the rubric that I'll show you is that you have identified or defined your variables, if it's quantitative or if it's qualitative, the construct that you're interested in. So if you are, so if it's quantitative, make sure that you list your independent and dependent variables. But if you are doing a qualitative study, maybe you are interested in the perspectives of first-year teachers who are teaching maybe first-year teacher. Okay, you're interested in the perspective of first-year teachers. So your construct would be like first-year teachers or teacher perspectives. So you'll talk about that for your qualitative research. Design, make sure you give as much detail as possible. Now, writing style, make sure that you're writing in your own voice. use first person. So what will you do? I will. It will be future tense because this is a proposal. So make sure that you put that in there. You can talk about yourself, if this is something that's going to happen, especially when you talk about the research significance. You might say, talk about why it's important to, within this context, using what you know. The researcher is a very important research instrument. You are the researcher, so make sure that you are speaking from your own voice, again, first person, future tense. And read over for continuity, just in case you had like copied and pasted something, make sure that you reread over it so you remove anything like that and it is just your writing coming from you. So let's go over to the template because I want to show you the template and then the rubric. So when you go to iCollege and the assignments tab, here we have our assignment. So here is the template that you can download. It's a Word document. And then there is also a sample research proposal that you can look at. So this is a proposal, just a sample that I wrote to show you, again, what I am looking for. So here you can see the research issue. On the template, it says 2 to 3 paragraphs. So here is an example here of what I wrote. Summary of prior literature. It's about 1.5 pages talking about the key ideas in that literature that I found. Research questions, statement of purpose and research significance. Purpose, again, go back to the text. What's the purpose? And again, first person, why do you want to do this? The significance, why you want to do it for that. Now, for the method, make sure you talk about the method that you're using, qualitative, quantitative, or mixed design. Talk about why you want to do it. And remember to define your variables or the construct that you are doing. So here you can see the issue of tax allocation districts, the Atlanta Beltline. So I'm talking about the constructs that I want to understand. If it was quantitative, you would define the variables. Talk about the research design that you are doing. If you're doing qualitative research, we are going to learn about 5 different types of qualitative. If you're doing quantitative, we've already learned several different types of quantitative design and mixed methods. We will learn some of those as well. So talk as specific as you can about the research design. You see here that in the sample, I've cited our text. That's definitely appropriate. You can do that to show where you're getting your ideas from. Talk a little bit about your research setting. Now, again, this is a proposal. You're not carrying out this research, so you don't need to worry about the practicalities of getting it done before July 21st because you're not actually conducting this research. You don't have IRB approval yet for this, so that wouldn't be ethical to complete it before researchers get IRB approval. They write a proposal like this. So it's okay if the research setting, if you're not even sure, you could describe what the ideal setting would be for this proposal. You might say the ideal research setting for this, I would like to conduct this research in an after-school club that focuses in on like girls reading, a girls reading club. So you could describe it, even if you don't know of this context yet, you would describe what the ideal setting would be and talk about why. Talk about the demographics, where it's located, and important information about the context. Same thing with participants. You're not actually recruiting these participants. So it can be, you'll be describing who the ideal participants would be, how many participants you ideally would have. Now, the number of participants needs to align with your methodology. So check the chapter, I believe it's chapter 8 about sampling, about how many participants is appropriate for the design that you are choosing. For instance, if you're doing a qualitative interview study, you wouldn't have 30 participants. And if you're doing a correlational study, if you're doing something non-experimental maybe, or a quantitative design, you wouldn't only have 5 participants. So make sure that the number of participants reflects your methodology. And you explain that here. Instruments and data sources, you can see I talked about that as well. Now this will align, or it should align, with your variables that you have already explained. So you need to make sure that you're explicit about your variables or about the construct that you're interested in. So here you can say I mentioned newspaper articles, and I talked about what those will entail. Data collection procedures, again, future tense, what you would do to collect this data. So you can see I'm using first person. I first, I will do this, next, I. Okay, now on to data analysis. So remember, it needs to be 2 parts. You talk about data analysis, and you also talk about methods of reliability and validity. I didn't do a good job in this, so I need to go back to the sample and do that. But you can see I did close out with ethical considerations and the conclusion. So make sure that you include that in your data analysis section. Here are my references in APA form. I need to fix the formatting on this one, but you can see that. Now, this is super important. This is something that I often see students forget or miss, is your artifacts to go with your research instruments. So like I mentioned, if you are doing a survey or interview questions, you need to give examples of the types of questions you plan to ask. So if you look in my instrument section, so I had 2 parts. I said I'm going to have documents, talked about how I will get those from the AJC, and then interviews. So I said right here, they will follow a semi-structured interview protocol. See the appendix for the interview protocol. So these are the interview questions. So, and again, it's a proposal, so they don't have to be perfect, but give an idea of what those could be. So this is linked for you on the assignment, so the template and the sample, so you can take a look at that to help you. Now there is a rubric that you can also look at as well, and it will show you, can I make this bigger here? It will show you how I am going to evaluate you. So you can also access this here when you go to rubrics. This is the research proposal rubric. Let me adjust my share so you can see it. Okay, so you can see it's out of 16 points. 4 of those are for your video presentation. And then here are the elements. Each of these are worth 1 point. So your introduction, research issue, literature review, research questions, purpose and significance, your design, the study variables or the construct. You need to define or describe the variables or the constructs of interest. Methods, the research setting, research instruments, the artifacts, that you include those, data analysis methods, data analysis, validity and trustworthiness, and then your APA style. So this is the rubric just to guide you on what all you need to include. Okay, so that is the research proposal paper. So this is the wrong date. So sorry, July 21st. So that is when that is due. So let me know if you have any questions about that. And again, I'll be giving you feedback if I haven't already based on your check-in. Okay, so if you want to stay on, I'm going to talk a little bit about searching for peer-reviewed articles and how to use the Georgia State Library to find that. So you will go to the Georgia State Library. There's a few ways to search. I like to search by database. And then you log in with your Georgia State credentials, and then you have access to full text articles of many, many, many journals. So this is the Georgia State Library site. You can, of course, type in your keywords here, and it will give you books and articles. I'm going to show you how to go to the databases. So if you scroll down just under the search bar, you'll see databases. I went to education. And there's several choices. I'm going to show you Eric. And so this is where it will come up. And so based on whatever your study is, you can type in the keyword. So one idea I was looking at is recess and third grade reading achievement. So I type in those search words. So over here, you can limit it to peer-reviewed journals. You can also limit it to full-length text, but it's once you should log in before you do that. So once you have done that, you don't need to worry about the date because there's great articles that are even older. So, but this, once you click peer review journals, you will find your articles. So you can start going through here to find some that might be relevant to your study. So this one's summer recess on math. Okay, it's not reading, but that might be something. So here you can say, it says, full text from Eric. So you could click that. There was another one that I saw that I thought looked like it had potential. Okay, so effect of recess on fifth grade students' time on task. So it's not about reading, but it might give me something to discuss because if they're on task, then they probably will have higher reading achievement. Oh, this one looks great. Recess and reading achievement on early childhood students in public schools. Perfect. So as you can see, this one has a PDF, but if you don't see that, you can click on full text from Eric. And this will prompt you. I've already logged in, so it's not prompting me to, but sometimes it will prompt you to log in, and then you could do that. You can get the PDF here. Now, you can also use Google Scholar. So if, let's say I'm in Google Scholar and I want to look at recess time third grade. So you can search for that. And once you go through here, I will show you how you could find this. So I don't know. So this one is just available, but there is probably some that I need to log in on. Okay, so maybe this one, the effect of doubling the amount of recess. Okay, so once I get here, this takes me to Taylor and Francis, which is a publisher for a lot of journals. So when I go down here, I want to find the full article, but it's telling me to log in. So once you get here, you can log in through your institution. So if you are in Google Scholar and it takes you to a site like this, scroll down, log in via your institution, and then click here, Open Athens. And then here you will sign in with your Georgia State account. Like now mine is already saved. Once you sign in, it might save it for you, and then you can do your PDF. So you will sign in with your Georgia State, just like you do it for your Georgia State email or for iCollege. So that is how you sign in, either through the Georgia State Library, like I showed you in the databases, or if you're using a search engine like Google Scholar, you can also sign in through your institution and Open Athens, Georgia State. So hopefully that is helpful, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.